In this episode, we're moving into how tolerance for uncertainty builds in real life. Not as a mindset shift or technique, but as something that develops through repeated experience. Tolerance for uncertainty doesn't arrive because someone decides to tolerate it. It builds because the nervous system learns over time that not knowing can be lived with. That learning happens quietly, often without people noticing it at first. One of the most common misunderstandings is that tolerance comes from confidence about outcomes. In practice, it comes from confidence about capacity. Not knowing what will happen becomes easier when the system trusts it can respond when something does happen. You might recognize this in everyday situations, waiting for a response without checking as often as you used to, sitting with a decision overnight instead of needing to resolve it immediately, allowing a plan to stay open without filling the gap straight away. These moments don't feel dramatic, they often feel slightly uncomfortable and then surprisingly manageable. That manageability is what teaches the system something new. Earlier episodes explored how reassurance provides quick relief. Tolerance develops in a different way. It develops when anxiety rises and then falls without being interrupted. When the body completes its response rather than being redirected immediately. This is why tolerance can't be forced. Trying to tolerate uncertainty as a task often increases pressure. Pressure signals danger. The system tightens rather than loosens. What builds tolerance instead is exposure without overwhelm. Staying with uncertainty for a short period, letting it pass, repeating that experience in different contexts. You might notice this when you resist the urge to check something and nothing bad happens, or when you wait longer than usual and find that discomfort peaks and then settles. These experiences accumulate quietly. Another important factor is interpretation. When uncertainty is seen as temporary rather than threatening, the body responds differently. That interpretation doesn't need to be repeated consciously, it becomes a background assumption. This is why tolerance often develops unevenly. Someone may tolerate uncertainty easily at work, but struggle in relationships, or manage it well with decisions, but not with waiting. Tolerance is context specific because it's learned through experience. Over time, the threshold for activation shifts. Situations that once triggered strong reactions now produce milder ones. The same uncertainty is present, but it carries less charge. You might notice that uncertainty still appears, but it doesn't dominate attention. You could think about other things. You can stay engaged in the moment. The system isn't constantly pulled back to what's unresolved. Another sign of growing tolerance is reduced urgency. The need to act, decide, or resolve lessens. That doesn't mean inaction, it means action becomes more proportionate. Tolerance also affects how people relate to discomfort. Discomfort becomes something that can be held without being eliminated. This changes how long it lasts and how much meaning is attached to it. Importantly, tolerance doesn't mean liking uncertainty. Most people don't. It means being less disrupted by it. The difference is subtle but very significant. As tolerance builds, people often notice they're less reactive to uncertainty. Uncertainty in others, uncertainty in themselves. They allow people space. They don't rush conversations. They don't need immediate clarity from every interaction. This creates a wider sense of steadiness. Life still involves waiting, ambiguity, and unpredictability, but those elements feel less central. What's happening underneath is learning. The nervous system is updating its expectations based on experience, not through instruction, but through repetition. This is why progress can feel slow and then suddenly obvious. The learning has been happening all along, it just hasn't been visible. Tolerance for uncertainty doesn't remove anxiety entirely. It changes how much influence anxiety has. Anxiety becomes one part of experience rather than the organizing principle. As this capacity develops, people often feel freer to engage with life without needing everything to be settled first. They move forward alongside uncertainty rather than waiting for it to disappear. Join me in the next episode. We'll be looking at how this growing tolerance influences confidence in daily life and why confidence often follows tolerance rather than the other way around.